For a cup, to make a good sized cup, you just need about 3/4 of a pound to a pound of clay. So about that much. That's about a pound of clay. And of course you want it to be smooth and even consistency. As you have all experienced, when the clay is lumpy, you're not happy. So it's exactly the same process as making the bases, the previous assignment. No, nothing different. This is just about having more control over the thickness and the shape. So right here is where I want to really pay attention to the thickness in the lower part, because that's where it's always a little thicker. Right down at the wheel, I push in with my outside fingertip against the inside one and come up. Now, by the time I'm halfway up, my fingers aren't really pushing on the clay. It's just kind of sliding over it because I don't want to thin it out any more at the top than it is. So I trim it just like we've done everything else. Now I want to get rid of those ridges. So I'm putting the long side of the rib against the side with the edge pointed away from me. And just letting it ride there. I'm not pushing against it, it's just touching. And on the inside, my finger is starting at the bottom and just coming up. And again, I'm just barely pushing enough so that the outside of the cup is rubbing against the rib. I just want contact, not trying to thin it or do anything else. So for a cup, for a mug, it doesn't have to be an elaborate shape. So right here, if I wanted a cylindrical shaped cup, I've got the thickness where I want it. I just want to finish the rim, so I'm going to gently taper that to a thinner rounded edge with my fingertips, just like that. And then I'm going to trim a little bevel, a little bit under the base of the cup to give a finished base to it. So let's cut that in half and see what it looks like. Okay, so there's our cross section. So pretty well balanced. That's what we want to aim for a nice cup. All right. So I'm gonna do this one more time and play around with the shape a little bit more. Wedging it thoroughly. So when you're wedging it, how you know if you've done it enough is when you tear it apart and you look at the cross section of the piece of clay where you tear it, and if it's consistent across where it's torn, then it's probably wedged enough. But if it tears and there are voids in it, like right there, then you may have to do a little more. So you want to really smack it together and then tear it in half across the layers, and do that 15 or 20 times for each piece. So you get it to a smooth, even consistency. So I'm going to make the base just a little wider on this one. thickness. Now I'm going to belly it out a little bit down the lower half. And shape the brim. Give it a little bit of a turn inwards. And you see with my fingertip here, I'm gently pushing in to create a little bit of a neck. And so when I put the handle on it, I put the handle starting from here and coming down to here, so then my hand will fit right in that space. And you know, and you can make some textural lines in there. Okay. Now you can stop. So putting on a handle, and the simplest way is to just roll a little coil. You can do it between our hands or on a surface. And then, just for aesthetic reasons, just because it looks nicer than a straight width of a handle, making it taper in thickness from one end to the other, like a carrot. When we roll it out, make it like a carrot. Then when we put the handle on the cup, it will look more graceful. Oh, wrong one. Than if it is a consistent width and thickness. So I'm pushing it against the side of the rim of the cup. And I put a little water on there, so and I can tug on it, it's not going to come off. And then bend it, and then I press the bottom end, and I put a little water on there too. And with my fingertip, just press the end of it against the side of the cup like that. And then I want to make sure that this shape here, where my finger is going to rest, curves up just a little bit, so that it will be curved, because the side of my finger is curved, and that will make it feel more comfortable. And so the length of it, you know, could be, this is enough for me to fit 2 fingers in there. If I had brought it further down, I might be able to get 3 fingers in there. Or if I made it shorter, I might be able just to get 1 finger in there. So those are variations that you might want to have in yours. Okay, so that's the simplest way. Just rolling out a coil, bend it, boom. Let's say you wanted a handle that had a little texture to it. So by pressing it against something, or rolling it against something, before you apply it, you can have something for the glaze to react to when the glaze melts on it. You don't want it to be really rough and jagged though, because then that would be uncomfortable. All right. A lot of the handles that you see on those cups, and then especially in the older style ones, they will start with a little rolled carrot, dip it in water, right? Dip the whole thing in water, press it against the cup, and then hold the cup with the handle pointing downwards, and put lots of water on it so it's real slippery. And then I'm wrapping my thumb and finger around it and just squeezing very slightly and sliding down, and it's stretching it a little bit. And then when it's the thickness and the width that I want, then I can attach it. So when you compare the handles, this one's real slick and fluid. It's going to feel very soft and comfortable in your hand compared to this one. You know, this one's a little bit bumpy just because I roll it out, handling it, putting it on. So this is called a pulled handle. And then there are some flat handles, some wide strap handles. So we start the same way. The carrot, and then gently pat it down. A lot of people think, well, you roll out a slab and you cut out a strip, but that's the hard way, because then you end up with these cut edges that are hard to smooth out. But if you start with a rolled one and then pat it down, you get a nice rounded flat piece. And then again, I'm going to dip it in water. Push it on, and you make sure by pulling on it a little bit that it's not going to come off. And then hold it over the water. And now I am wrapping my thumb and finger around it this way and gently squeezing and coming down and alternating back and forth so that I am stretching it out evenly, both sides, the same amount. And we can even make ridges. Sometimes people will make ridges in the center by using their thumb on top. And then stand it up. Like that. And you can, once they're attached, if you want kind of a squarish handle, then you can kind of push it in to make it square. You can pull it up to give it a more uplift kind of a shape. It just depends. You want the character of the handle to go with the character of the cup. Make them look like they're not two separate units, but they're all one. That's the goal. So this is called a party mug, so that you can pass it around, everybody can hold on to it, drink all at the same time. All right. Any questions?